For most, the unknown of reentry is overwhelming and, quite frankly, a daunting task. The purpose of this video is to give you an understanding of what the parole board expects from you, but more importantly, what you can expect from the board. The importance of reentry is recognized by the governor, who has created an agency entitled the Governor's Office of Transition Support and Reentry. The mission of this agency is to pool resources and fill resource gaps throughout the state, as well as help you overcome any hurdles you may encounter. I encourage you to listen closely to obtain the necessary information to be successful under parole supervision, as well as for many years to come. Over the next few minutes, you will receive a clear roadmap on how to avoid reincarceration. Thank you again and congratulations. I hope you find this video helpful in becoming part of the 70+% of individuals who successfully complete parole.
My life started a turnaround when I was in 8th grade, and not having a father figure in my life, not having brothers, grew up in a single-parent home, really had no direction. But I did have dreams of going to college. I did have dreams of playing basketball, but I didn't have any strong support to push me that way. So it was easy for me to get off track, and some of my friends had started selling drugs.
I was raised by my mom. She did a great job, loving, caring individual, great family. I had 2 sisters, one older, one younger. And I was raised by a lot of females in my household, in my family. So I didn't really know what it looked like to be a man or any of that stuff. So I was somewhat confused growing up on what that looked like, or what the responsibilities, or what even simple principles such as integrity meant or even looked like. I became involved in the correctional system early on when I was 15. I was, stealing cars, stole a car, kind of just for the thrill of it, and ended up in the juvenile detention.
I didn't grow up saying that I was going to turn into an addict, or ever thought that I would be, but I did. I was introduced to crack cocaine. I liked it, and it took over my life. From someone who was just a happy-go-lucky college student, I found myself, as basically a street walking bomb in the blink of an eye. And of course, I started breaking the law to support my habit.
My path started at an early age. I've always been addicted to a drug or alcohol. I started about the age of 15, drinking, smoking marijuana. Then when that didn't work, I used cocaine, crack cocaine, and methamphetamine.
And one day we started robbing. Me and a group of guys went, this was 1990, me and a group of guys went, and we was going to different schools. And we was jumping on kids and taking their starter jackets, taking shoes, and we got locked up later on that day for robbery. It was the first time I ever been locked up, and it started a cycle of and a downfall of my life. And for the most part, I took it kind of as a joke. I got an 18-month probation for it, and but from 1990 to 1992, I was in and out of juvenile in jail. I had dropped out of school several times, and I started hanging with a lot of different older guys and a different group of guys, and of course, you have to adapt to the way the street life is.
I had gotten some charges. They're always usually theft charges, theft, forgery, things of that nature, and I would accumulate all of these felony charges on top of being on probation, which means that when I get arrested, I'm not making bond. There's an automatic hold. So I would accumulate a lot of these charges. I would have warrants out already. So really how it would kind of escalate was I would be dirty. My urine would be dirty. So I knew that if I went and reported to my probation officer that they were going to screen me. And so therefore I just didn't go. And so it was kind of like, well, I already have a warrant. I might as well, go and just go all out.
At the age of 25 or so, I found myself in prison for the first time. And that started just a revolving door of in and out and in and out and in and out for the next 15, 20 years, actually.
Being on drugs sent me to prison in 2006. And I knew I was going because of the crime that I committed, and I was devastated.
we got into what was armed robbery then. And 1993, crazy situation happened. Me and a group of guys and a young lady, we went to a house, and in the process of going into this house, a man got killed. And we ran, we thought we got away. A couple days later, we tried to do another robbery. The next day, we did another robbery, and we got caught. I got caught with a different group of guys.
As much as I wanted to do something different at that time, I was so caught up in my lifestyle that I thought that I would always be in and out of the system. And the 10 years that I had on probation just seemed like never ending, that I'd never get through it. I probably served 5 or 6 of those 7 years, or 5 or 6 of the 10 years behind bars, incarcerated.
When they read the charges out to me, I was charged with murder, felony murder, 3 counts on robbery, 3 counts of false imprisonment, 3 counts of aggravated assault, burglary, and carrying a concealed weapon. For the most part, I thought my life was over.
The whole time I was there, I knew that if I ever walked that journey and got home, I would not walk that journey again. I wouldn't lie, I wouldn't steal, and in my addiction, that's what I did, lied and stole.
I remember being released from that facility, and I was just full of hope, and I was very optimistic because I would lay in that top bunk in that open dorm of 100 guys and say, I'll never do what I did to get me back here again. I'll never be standing on those yellow feet print at Jackson. I'll never do that stuff again. And I really meant it. I really meant I wouldn't do it.
When those doors slammed behind my back, that time I realized I was in a lot of trouble. And I realized that I wasn't going home anytime soon. And all I could say to myself was, how did I get myself in this situation? But also I realized that I needed to change my life, and that's not the cycle that I want to continue on in my life.
I know many of you are anxious about your pending release. You don't know what to expect from parole, what type of parole officer you will have. Will they help you or try to return you to prison? There are many rumors floating around about parole. Have you heard the rumor that your parole officer gets $100 for each person he revokes on parole? Believe me, that's just a rumor, along with many of the other negative comments about parole and parole officers. Your parole officer will be an experienced and knowledgeable professional with 2 main goals: to successfully transition you back into the community and to protect the public. When you are released, your parole officer really wants you to succeed. They will provide you with resources and refer you to programs that will meet your needs and aid in reducing your risk of reoffending. But it's up to you to make good decisions, associate with good people, and stay out of trouble. Your parole officer will visit you at your residence and place of employment to ensure you are meeting your conditions of parole. Your success is our success. However, when your parole officer determines you are not meeting your conditions of parole, he or she has an obligation to address those violations. Remember, your officer has 2 goals: to assist you in your transition back into the community and to protect the public. Violations of your parole conditions directly affect the safety of the public. The best way to avoid parole violations is to seek and maintain full-time employment, maintain a stable residence, and remain drug-free. You all can successfully transition from prison to becoming a law-abiding citizen. Returning home from prison is not easy, and your parole officer is there to assist you in that transition. However, the main person responsible for your success is you.
When I first meet a parolee, the first thing I do is lay out my expectations for them and what I expect for them to be successful. I give them the resources that they need, that as far as their parole conditions, and sometimes resources that they aren't a condition that I can tell that they need.
When parolees first come out, you have different types of people. Some of them have been under supervision before, so they know what to expect. But typically those people that first coming out, they need guidance for what to expect while on parole. So my job is to educate them on what to expect and what we expect of them, which is certain conditions of parole that they must abide by.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, and you?
You got work today?
Yes, ma'am. I gotta be there at 2:30.
2:30? We don't want to just throw our inmates or our parolees to the wolves when they get out with no resources and no help. And parole gives us the opportunity to rein people back in when they are starting to make mistakes or backslide. And they're going to make mistakes. But that's why we're here. That's why parole officers are there, to help them and lead them in the right direction so that they don't end up back in prison. If we just put people back out in the streets with no transition or nobody to hold them accountable, they're going to go right back to the same lifestyle that they were living prior to going to prison.
With the violence?
Oh, no.
Just in the neighborhood?
See my grandkids go to church.
Okay, but we'll go inside and continue to talk. Support systems are very important when people are first released on parole. If they don't have a strong family support system, we look for the community for assistance. We have different programs. We have RPHs, which is residential housing for parolees, and they get to live there for 3 months. In those houses, they meet other parolees that can help them, show them the ropes, per se. We reach out to community-based churches, different programs in the area to try to get them that type of support system, to help them get jobs, to help them get some of the paperwork they need in order to be successful.
When I was released from prison, I thought it was a glorious day, but I was nervous because I'd been locked up, and I really wasn't sure if I would be able to do things again.
I was really nervous. I was excited. I was ready to come home, but I was very nervous and I was afraid. I was scared because this wasn't my first release. The final release was probably my 4th release from prison, and I had failed.
As a parole officer, I'm equipped with a lot of resources, community-based resources for mental health or substance abuse or cognitive skills, job programs that are available in our area.
And I remember going home and just being very confused and not really having a whole lot of direction or an avenue or a plan or any of that. My plan was to stay clean and sober and to not use anymore, and everything else would be good.
A lot of parolees, the major issue is that they've lived a certain lifestyle their entire lives. So our job is to try to expose them to a different way of thinking, a different way of acting. We need to show them a different way of doing things so they won't have the same outcomes they had before. Our job isn't to send them back for the problems they had in the past, is to give them different ways to create a new life for themselves so they won't have those same problems. That's the goal of parole.
I was gone since I was 18 years old. Probably when I got out, I was still 18 years old because I never really had a chance to learn life in the sense of responsibilities, paying bills. These are things that you really have to learn how to adjust to, and I don't know if you can adjust to that overnight. You just had to be determined to want to be successful, so in all that responsibility comes.
I can tell when a parolee is really committed to a better lifestyle when they're asking me for advice and they're communicating with me when they have a problem, and they're doing everything they can do to make it. They're out there hunting a job every single day and not laying on the couch until noon. They're out there participating in their programs and not complaining to me that I'm making them go.
Personally, I don't judge people, and I don't judge their past. I totally look at people for the action they do from today forward. Every day you're breathing, I believe you have a chance to do something different. You don't have to make the same decisions. So as a parolee, when you come out, I look at it as a fresh start.
When I met my parole officer, I told them, y'all are not going to have to worry about me. And I knew they were just thinking. I've heard this before, but it was true. And they told me that anything that I needed or if I had any issues, that they would help me, and that's what they did.
Things are changing. It's not the old lock them up, throw away the key attitude anymore. And that's a really good thing. This is a great time for guys who are getting out who may or may not have the resources or the information they need.
These people have been through a lot of really bad stuff, and they don't necessarily know how to process the things that they've been through, and so they cover it up with drugs and abusive behavior. And if we just put them in jail and we don't address the issues, we're not fixing anything. We're just creating another problem.
Let them know what your needs are. If you don't know what your needs are, tell them you don't know what your needs are. See if you can get with someone and help figure out what your best first step is.
The ultimate goal for parole is not only to become a successful person in society, but to actually release the reins, per se. The more and more you comply, you can move toward what's called commutation, which means that your parole could be ended early.
It is very rewarding to see a parolee succeed. However, I cannot take responsibility for their successes or their failures, because ultimately they're responsible for their success and they're responsible for their failures. I'm just here to give them the tools that they need to be successful.
Sometimes it's hard to make it in this world, especially when you've been to prison. Your family wants and needs you here, and you want to be here for them. Reentry Services is committed to your success as well. We are here to assist you with your housing needs through our Transitional Housing for Offender Reentry, or THOR program, and Reentry Partnership Housing. THOR has two types of housing: structured housing for individuals needing a safe, positive environment conducive to rehabilitation, and recovery residences for individuals needing substance abuse counseling. Reentry Services also offers employment assistance, veteran services, mental health and substance abuse counseling, and cognitive skills assistance. We also collaborate with our faith-based programs within the community. Many of you struggle with drug or alcohol abuse and addiction, mental health problems, unemployment, or just meeting basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. Our office works closely with your parole officer to ensure he or she has access to a wide variety of resources to help you meet your needs. We want you to know all of us here in parole and the community are strongly committed to helping you be successful.
Change is hard, especially when you have to come out of prison and go right back to the same lifestyle or the same community and the same people that maybe helped you get in trouble to begin with. But it's a conscious effort, and it's something worth fighting for.
Don't give up. To this day, I still haven't given up. And I think that's true for everybody, not just for guys or girls getting out of prison. That's true for everybody. We all have setbacks. We all have things that we're coping with.
This is something that is going to require action. This is not a spectator sport. This is not something we buy tickets and go watch the Braves go play. It's not that kind of deal. This is something where you actually have to be involved and be actively pursuing it. And there are going to be days that you don't feel like doing it.
I want to see everyone live the life that they want to live, a happy life.
You have to be determined to move forward. You have to stay positive. That's one thing I did in prison. Regardless of the situation, I had to stay positive. And I had to believe that I was going to see those gates one day. Whether I had to do 2 years, 5, or the whole 18 years, I know that I had to look forward to getting out. Out here, I had to look forward to still being successful. I had to look forward to enjoying life. I just think the biggest thing, just enjoy life. I just want to live and have a good life and do what's right.
I got off parole early. My probation was terminated, and they said they would be willing to do anything that it took to help me move forward. So there are people out in the community that's willing to help.
The personal gratification it feels from being able to point people in the right direction is something that I take from the job. I really enjoy.
Watching somebody successfully complete from parole and seeing the look on their face, knowing that they're done with this, it's satisfying.
There are many benefits. I'm a dad today. I'm a son today. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. I'm responsible. I show up. I come to work. Those are benefits alone. I'm no longer taking things that don't belong to me, and I operate in a manner of honesty and integrity.
I had a parolee tell me one time that their past is like a rearview mirror. If they look in the rearview mirror too long at their past and they focus way too much on the mistakes that they've made, they're going to crash their car. The rearview mirror is just to glimpse back to see where they came from.